Hello, fellow Maggie Meshers. Jersey Dude back again, talking about my cross-stitch shading method. We're here in Janome MBX V5, a program that has always been kind of buggy for me. On my beloved old HP 17.3-inch laptop, it froze and shut down regularly. And on this new Windows 10 laptop, it is even worse. That explains why I don't have too many files here, but we have what we need. Here is a two-dimensional image. It's quite an excellent graphic. Whoever the designer was did a fabulous job. There's lots of energy and color and distinctive shape and form. Very nicely done. Even being a flat two-dimensional picture, it is very strong. With shaping, a lot of visual activity going on to suggest depth and fullness. However, if you wanted to, you could do some cross-stitch shading to make some aspects of it more dynamic. For instance, down here in the thumb area, you could shade a little bit. So let's actually draw a couple and see what they look like. We'll go down into this area. We'll choose Digitize Close Shape, and let's throw in a shadow down here. See what it looks like. And we get a black fill. Let's adjust the shape of that just a bit. And then we'll change it to cross stitch. And there we have a little shadow down at the bottom. Let's see what it looks like. So this lends a little bit of depth and roundness. It starts to recede this area down behind this talon, which it would normally in real life. We can adjust the shape of it a little bit. The cross stitch is a bit variable in how it actually fills, so you have to play with it a little bit to get it to fill out the way you want it to. It's not like a solid stitched object. Let's see how that looks. That's a little better. We got a little bit more shading up here in the back portion of this roll, which is more correct. That would be the furthest from your eye and the darkest area. We could pull this up a little bit more into that portion of the thumb and try again. Let's see, get rid of that, and that doesn't look too bad. We could go to the next roll, do something similar. A lot of times, you could copy this, you could say duplicate and draw one back, but it wouldn't really fit necessarily, so a lot of times you're just better off drawing a fresh one. Digitize Close Shape. Let's try that. Solid object, change to a cross stitch, and there we have a second one. Now you can see that starts to lend a reasonable amount of interest and visual depth to the whole thing. Now you could come over in here. These areas in the bottoms of the fingers would be very dark, considering this is probably in daylight and the light source would be coming from directly above. The underneath side of the hand would be quite dark. So you could very logically add a dark shadow underneath. We'll digitize another one quickly here. Oh, it's probably not going to matter. The cross stitch doesn't get too much in detail. We could do that. Let's see how that looks from a distance. That definitely shades it nicely. It's a little clunky in shape. Let's try pulling this, put a rocker node in there, rock that slightly. Let's draw this up and out a bit more up the side there and see how that looks. Actually, I got that backwards. The light would be coming in this area more than it would be from behind this talon, so that actually should be the opposite. Always have to be thinking about where your light source is coming from and adjust your drawing accordingly. If you go against the logic of the direction of the light, it may look okay unless you factor in the logic of lighting, and then it won't make any sense. And there we have a much better version. Now I could probably take this one, duplicate it, drag it over here. It's pretty much the same shape. And there we have a second one. So the bottom of those fingers immediately start to recede. Light highlights dark, and dark highlights light. They both work in opposition to each other. We could, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. I wanted to do a zoom and zoom in and fix this because we've got the shapes don't exactly match. Sometimes you can duplicate and draw the same object over, put it in various different places, the same shape. And other times it's just faster to draw it from scratch because you end up doing this, which is a lot of twiddling around to make it work right. So there we've added some shadows. And those are very nice. They lend some visual interest. This design doesn't particularly need it in my estimation because it's very dynamic to begin with. And simplicity is often the best means of conveying your message. However, if you feel like it, for instance, if you were making this much larger than it normally would have been, this would have been 5 to 6 inches in height or width and placed on the sleeve of a jersey. This is plenty big for a sleeve. But if you were to put something like this on the front of a jersey where it might be 13 or 14 inches tall, it would be pretty flat and dull. So adding a little bit of shading would perk it up quite a bit. I hope that gives you some ideas, and hopefully it gets your creativity percolating and you'll get to your computers and try it yourselves.